Hey, Blitz with Muffin here. Hope you guys are enjoying the quarantine life. This is just crazy with this COVID-19. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something that I don't think I've seen very many videos on, but I think it is helpful. And after actually experiencing this with a few games, I started realizing I should share this with my subscribers. I think it could actually help. So some of the things is about capping. And I wouldn't say it's something that you should just always do and go do, but in certain situations, it can really help you out and be really effective. And here's just some examples. I got one in a heavy and one in a light tank. And really it comes down to a few things. Is obviously if you can get shots off or position yourself to get shots off enemies, do that over cap. So it's a combination of understanding your team's positioning, just being very alert and aware of your surroundings, understanding where some of the enemies are positioned, where they're detected, and using some of your deductive reasoning of where they could be. And I'll go through some examples here. So the very first one here in the American Heavy collectible tank, E6, I'm going up on this hill and I start realizing I've got a big cupola working this ridge line, especially against the tanks ahead of me. It's just not good positioning. I also have tanks that are not very well positioned. They've got the hill up here on mines. I kind of go back. If you're a higher tank, you get shots off, and I don't really go back here very often, but it just was not a good position. So, okay, so number one, I can't work that ridge line. I can't really quite get shots off. I start zooming over here to the flag, and using some of my deductive reasoning, they have tank destroyers, and most likely they're positioned along those lines up on by their spawn, and they've got the hill where there's a Pergetto in that T-22. So we're in a bad spot. So this is where capping the base actually starts to become effective. It starts to apply that pressure on the enemy. Now, this is a little risky, and I'm taking this risk just because I'm a little alone out here on this side, and I start calling for SOS help, but it starts applying this pressure, and thank goodness I actually have some of my team start to come over close to me, and they do a great job. They start just falling apart. They come down into the hill, and it forces them off the hill and to come down toward me before time is up, and we win to try to come get me. And I try to position myself in a way as smart as possible so that I can be in the most protection and cover that I can without getting hit. All it even takes is for somebody to be in cap is to get hit by an HE, so I want to be as protected as possible. So it just forces them down, especially if you got your teammates. So using that logic, so like number one, understand your teammates lineup. Number two, understanding where like the enemy is. If you can position yourself to get shots, do that first. But if you cannot get shots off, and how the enemy positioned is just like maybe has a better advantage than your team does, then cap actually can work to your advantage. And number three is being in a cap zone that you can find yourself in a very protected spot, because like I said, even an HE round can end up resetting the cap. So here's another example. Bat Chat, we're here on Normandy. I'm coming up, and I feel bad for my brother. I actually kind of left him. Honestly, this is one where I could have actually gone maybe a little further left with him, or even moved up to spot and then advanced on the other side of that bush. But once again, I'm coming up. I understand the positioning of my team. I'm starting to see where the enemy is. Using some deductive reasoning, they have destroyers in the back. I start seeing a lot of their tanks down kind of further down in the map, which this is a very, like Normandy is a very steep hill, and it's going to take them a longer time, especially those heavies, to come up at me. And I've got a leopard here, so I'm paying attention to the positioning of where my team is. And I'm very small and nimble, so I get myself right in this crevice to start applying that pressure. And it really starts taking the enemy's positions where they're comfortable. They know they can either do very successful or well if they've got a better advantage over your team. and it starts forcing them out of there. And when they get forced out, you can see they just start falling apart and just getting hit. And it really messes them up. So if you know how to play the bass smart and effective, and just using some of those tips, hopefully it helps. It's not something you do all the time, but honestly, like, sometimes in these kind of situations, I just sacrifice damage to just try to go for the win. That's just my take, my 2 cents. I know Droodles and other things, they're like much better players than I am. I wouldn't say I'm the best, but I think I've got some okay and decent stats. I've got over like a 60% win rate. I think my average damage on my tier 10s is about 2,300. So anyway, this is the Muffin here. Hope this helps. Let me know what you guys think about capping the base and how you guys would do it. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.